The tissues are what I remember most. Not the words, not the faces, not even the paper sliding across the table that ended my career. The tissues. This box of pale blue tissues, the cheap kind that feels like sandpaper, sitting in the exact center of a fake wood conference table. I remember staring at them, thinking, they planned this. Someone put those there on purpose. Someone knew I'd need them. It's 10:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I'm about to be fired. The air conditioning is broken. I can feel sweat gathering at the base of my spine. The fluorescent lights are buzzing, this barely audible hum drilling into my skull. Someone's wearing perfume, something floral and cloying, and it's mixing with the smell of stale coffee and making my stomach turn. My boss is sitting across from me. She hasn't looked at me once, just keeps staring at this spot on the wall above my left shoulder, her jaw so tight I can see the muscle jumping. There's a man in an expensive suit I've never met, corporate lawyer, probably. His watch catches the light when he moves. Rolex, maybe. His tie is burgundy with tiny geometric patterns, and I'm focusing on it way too hard because if I don't focus on something specific, I'm going to either scream or throw up. And Linda from HR, she's wearing a pink cardigan. Pink. Who wears pink to fire someone? She's got that expression, the one that says, I'm very sorry about this, but I'm just doing my job. The one that says, please don't make a scene. My hands are in my lap, squeezed together so hard my knuckles have gone white. There's this tiny paper cut on my thumb from this morning, and every time I press down, I can feel it sting. It's the only thing keeping me present. Linda opens her mouth. We've made the difficult decision to terminate your employment effective immediately. The words hit me like I'm standing behind glass, distant, muffled. She slides a paper across the table, that soft whisper of paper on fake wood. I'll hear that sound in my nightmares for months. I should cry. That's what the tissues are for, right? That's what they expect. But instead, something else happens. I start laughing. Not happy laughter, the kind that sounds unhinged, the kind that makes Linda's eyes go wide and the lawyer guy tense up like I might flip the table. Because I just realized something. I'm free. 6 months. 6 months of bathroom stall panic attacks, of my hands shaking so badly I couldn't hold my coffee cup steady, of waking up at 3 a.m. checking my email like a reflex I couldn't control. 6 months of being systematically torn apart by the woman sitting across from me who still won't look me in the eye. And now, I never have to see these people again, never have to walk on eggshells or question my sanity or let someone make me feel worthless. It cost me everything, but I'm free. 6 months ago, I thought I'd won the lottery, dream job, prestigious company, 40% raise. My dad actually hugged me, like a real hug, not the awkward side pat, and said he was proud. Now, I'm being fired. Not for being bad at my job, not for missing deadlines or losing clients or any actual reason that makes sense. I'm being fired because I stood up to a bully, because I finally said no more. And you want to know the worst part? I saw it coming. The moment I opened my mouth in that team meeting, the moment I stopped shrinking and started fighting back, I knew exactly what would happen. But I'd do it again. I'd do it again right now, today, in a heartbeat. This is the story of how I got fired for refusing to be destroyed, and I promise you, it gets so much worse before it gets better. 8 months ago, I was rotting away at this dead-end company. You know the type. The break room microwave was older than I was. The office printer was actually 3 broken printers held together by hope and scotch tape. And my boss kept a physical Rolodex on his desk. A Rolodex in 2024. I was sending out resumes every week, sometimes every day. Cover letter after cover letter, each one a tiny prayer thrown into the void. Then my phone rang. Hi, this is Jennifer from Sterling and Associates. We received your application for the marketing coordinator position, and we'd love to bring you in for an interview. Sterling and Associates. I'd researched them obsessively. Prestigious marketing firm, downtown high-rise, clients I'd actually heard of. The kind of place that didn't just have a website, they had a presence. The interview was 3 weeks later. I bought a new outfit, practiced answers in my bathroom mirror until my roommate told me I was being weird. I was so nervous, I threw up in the parking garage before going in. But the interview went perfectly. The office was everything I'd dreamed of. Exposed brick walls, these massive windows with actual natural light, a coffee bar with an honest-to-God barista. During the tour, I watched people laughing in the break room, collaborating in glass-walled conference rooms that had good markers, not the dried-out ones I was used to. The salary they offered was 40% more than I was making. 40%! I called my mom from my car and we both cried. My dad who once attended my college graduation with a broken rib and didn't tell anyone until after the ceremony, actually hugged me, like a real hug. He said, "I'm proud of you, kiddo." My best friend took me to this fancy cocktail bar I'd always wanted to try, but could never afford. We got absolutely ridiculous drinks with edible flowers and smoke coming out of them, and I remember thinking, this is it. This is where my real life starts. I was so stupid. The first day. Orientation was on a Monday. I wore my interview outfit again because I didn't own anything else that nice. They gave us folders with our benefit information, company swag, a notebook, a pen that actually worked, a water bottle with the company logo. I met my team at lunch. Marcus was the graphic designer, 5 years with the company, tattoo sleeve on his left arm, and always had paint under his fingernails from his weekend hobby. He made a joke about the orientation PowerPoint being from 2019, and everyone laughed. Sarah was the copywriter, this incredible, infectious laugh that made her whole face light up. She'd just gotten engaged and kept finding excuses to mention her fiancé. Tom was the analytics guy, quiet, always had these massive noise-canceling headphones on, but when he talked about data, his whole demeanor changed. He got excited about spreadsheets in a way that was kind of endearing. And then there was Karen Mitchell, senior marketing manager, my direct supervisor. She walked in 10 minutes after everyone else, mid-40s, perfectly tailored pantsuit in a shade of navy so dark it was almost black. Her hair pulled back in this tight bun that looked like it hurt. Her heels clicked on the floor like punctuation marks. She shook my hand. Her grip was just a fraction too tight, held a fraction too long. "Welcome to the team," she said. Her smile didn't move her eyes at all. "I have very high standards. I hope you're ready to work hard." I laughed nervously, trying to sound confident. "Absolutely. I'm really excited to learn from you." "Good, because the last person in your position didn't work out. I need someone who can actually handle the pressure this time." The table went quiet for just a second, just a beat. Then Sarah jumped in with a question about the project calendar, and the moment passed. But I felt it, that little cold drop in my stomach. Red flag number 1. I told myself I was overthinking it. The honeymoon phase, that never existed. You know how most new jobs have that grace period, where everyone's patient while you learn where they keep the good pens and which meeting rooms have broken AV equipment, where people say things like, "Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it." Yeah, I didn't get that. My first week, Karen assigned me to help with a client presentation. Nothing crazy, compile research data, create some slides, basic coordination stuff. Exactly the kind of thing I'd done at my old job dozens of times. I worked on it for 3 days, stayed until 7 p.m. one night, triple-checked the data sources, made sure the formatting matched their brand guidelines exactly. I even printed out a draft to proofread it on paper because I read somewhere you catch more errors that way. The morning of the presentation, I got to work early, checked my email. From Karen Mitchell. Subject, your work. Time, 6:47 a.m. Need to see you in my office immediately. My stomach did this weird flip. I grabbed my notebook. I'd already started taking notes on everything, some instinct I didn't fully understand yet, and headed for her office. She didn't look up when I walked in, just kept staring at her monitor, her jaw tight. I can see the muscle jumping. "Did you even look at this before sending it to me?" she asked. Not "good morning," not "have a seat." Because it's full of errors. The formatting is inconsistent, the data on slide 7 contradicts slide 12, and honestly, she finally looked at me, the whole thing looks amateurish. I felt heat crawling up my neck. I can fix it right now. The presentation isn't until this afternoon.
I already had Marcus redo it. I can't risk looking incompetent in front of the client because you couldn't handle basic work. I just stood there. My throat was tight. I could feel Marcus watching from his desk through the glass wall of her office, his expression sympathetic and helpless at the same time. "I'm sorry," I managed. The words felt thick. "It won't happen again. See that it doesn't. Close the door on your way out." I walked back to my desk on legs that felt disconnected from my body, pulled up the original file I'd sent her, went through every single slide, every data point, every formatting choice. There were no errors. None. The formatting was exactly what she'd specified in her initial email. The data was consistent. I cross-referenced my sources 3 times. I sat there staring at my screen, and this thought crept in like cold water. Did I imagine doing it right? Am I losing my mind? That was day 4. That was my first real introduction to how Karen
Worked. Week 2 started with emails. From Karen Mitchell to Marketing Team, subject, proper procedure. Team, as you can see from the attached email thread, there seems to be some confusion about proper procedure when requesting resource allocation. Let's all make sure we're following protocol moving forward so we don't waste each other's time. The attached email was me asking a question about a project timeline, a normal question, the kind of question literally everyone asks. But there it was, in everyone's inbox, with this tone of disappointed teacher to slow student. Sarah messaged me on Slack, "Don't worry about it, she does this to everyone at first." But I noticed Sarah was still being careful around Karen. Everyone was. Week 3, I showed up to my desk at 9 a.m., my start time according to my offer letter, and found the entire team in the conference room. I knocked, poked my head in. "Sorry, I didn't realize we had a meeting." "It was on the shared calendar," Karen said without looking up from her notes. I checked my phone. The calendar invite had been sent at 7:30 that morning for an 8:45 meeting. I'd been asleep. "I just saw it now. Sorry, we're almost done anyway." I stood there for a second, then retreated to my desk, pulled up the calendar, checked the settings. Everything looked normal. The next team meeting invite came at 10 p.m. the night before, then at 6 a.m., then not at all. I started showing up to the office at 8:30 just in case, started checking my email the second I woke up. I was always playing catch-up with rules that kept changing. The public execution. Week 4. We had weekly team check-ins where everyone presented their progress on current projects. I'd been working on a social media campaign for one of our smaller clients, a local boutique hotel trying to boost their online presence. 2 weeks in, and the numbers were solid. Engagement up 35%, follower count increased by 12%, and the client had sent this really sweet email about how much they loved the content. I felt good for the first time in a month, like maybe I was actually competent at my job. I presented the results, showed the engagement graphs, the best performing posts, the client feedback. Karen waited until I was completely done, let the silence stretch just long enough to get uncomfortable. "Okay," she said, "but what about conversion rates?" "The campaign's only been running for 2 weeks, so the conversion data—" "Right, so you don't have it." She turned to the team. "Does anyone else have their actual results ready to share, with, business metrics that matter?" Sarah jumped in, bless her. "Actually, Karen, the engagement numbers are really strong for this early in the campaign cycle. Industry standard is—" "I'd like to move on. Tom, what do you have?" I sat down. The chair made this loud scraping sound against the floor. Everyone was staring at their laptops, at the table, at anything but me. My hands were shaking. I put them in my lap where no one could see. Here's what I want you to understand about workplace bullying. It's not dramatic. It's not someone throwing staplers or screaming in your face. It would almost be easier if it was. Instead, it's this. It's your manager scheduling a meeting, then canceling it 5 minutes before with no explanation.
then doing it again and again until you start wondering if you did something wrong. It's being CC'd on an email where someone corrects your misunderstanding of something you understood perfectly. It's watching your ideas get ignored in meetings, then repackaged by someone else a week later and praised as innovative. It's 1,000 tiny paper cuts that individually seem petty to complain about, but together they bleed you dry. The midnight emails. The emails started innocently enough. From Karen Mitchell, time 6:43 p.m., subject, quick question. Can you send me the status update on the Henderson account? Need it for a meeting tomorrow. I saw it at 8 p.m. when I checked my phone during dinner, responded immediately, thought nothing of it. The next day, in our one-on-one, Karen brought it up. I need you to be more responsive to communication. I responded within 2 hours. I sent that email at the end of the business day. What if it had been urgent? It wasn't marked as urgent, and you said you needed it for tomorrow, so I thought, the point is, I shouldn't have to wonder if my marketing coordinator is available when I need them. She leaned back in her chair. Her expression was so reasonable, so calm, almost like she was explaining something to a child. Maybe this role requires more availability than you're comfortable with. After that, the emails came at all hours, 8:47 p.m. Following up on this, see below, a 3-week-old email thread that had already been resolved, 10:23 p.m. Thoughts on this? A 40-page market research document. 11:56 p.m. Are you seeing the issue with this layout or is it just me? Rhetorical question about a design choice. 1:34 a.m. Reminder that we need to discuss your performance this week. I started sleeping with my phone on my nightstand, volume up. I'd wake up at 2 a.m., heart pounding, because I heard the notification sound. My boyfriend, ex-boyfriend now, got so frustrated. It's 1 in the morning. Why are you checking your work email? I just need to make sure it's urgent. It's never urgent. He was right. It was never actually urgent, but I couldn't stop checking. The gaslighting. About 3 months in, I started questioning my own memory. Karen would assign me a task in a meeting. I'd take detailed notes. I'd learned to type everything verbatim and email it back to her for confirmation. She never confirmed the notes, just ignored those emails entirely. Then I'd complete the work exactly as assigned, and she'd call me into her office looking genuinely confused. Why did you use the blue template? We always use red for client proposals. In the meeting on Tuesday, you said, I quote, use the blue template with emphasis on digital strategy. That's your interpretation. That's not what I meant. But that's literally what you said. I think I know what I said. This is concerning. You seem to be having trouble with basic communication. I'd leave her office feeling dizzy, untethered. Did I hear her wrong? Am I losing my mind? Is there something actually wrong with me? Files disappeared from my desk, just vanished. I'd spend hours looking for a printout I knew I'd left right there, only to have Karen find it later on the copier. You really need to be more organized. Project files on the shared drive would vanish. I'd save my work, then come in the next morning, and the file would be gone. Or it would be there but reverted to an older version missing hours of my work. Did you forget to save? Karen would ask. No, I saved it multiple times. I watched the save icon complete. Maybe a system glitch. You should probably back things up more carefully. I started saving everything in 3 places, on my computer, on the shared drive, emailed to myself. I stopped trusting my own perception of reality. The isolation. My teammates started avoiding me, not because they didn't like me. I understood that even then, but being associated with me was dangerous. I'd become what they call a missing stare, the person everyone knows to step around, the person whose name gets mentioned in meetings and everyone suddenly finds something fascinating about their notebooks. Marcus still gave me these quick, sympathetic smiles when Karen wasn't around, like little life rafts. Sarah would occasionally grab lunch with me, but always away from the office, always with this nervous energy, like she was worried someone would see us. Tom just put his headphones on and pretended the whole situation didn't exist. The easy camaraderie I'd seen during my interview, the laughter, the collaboration, the actual teamwork, it was gone. Or maybe it had never been real. Maybe I'd just seen what I wanted to see. I found out later that 2 people had quit Karen's team the year before I was hired. One had filed an HR complaint that went nowhere. The other just stopped showing up one day, didn't even collect their last paycheck, just vanished. I should have asked more questions during my interview. I should have seen the pattern. The physical toll. By month 4, my body was staging a full rebellion. I woke up one morning and my jaw hurt so bad I could barely open my mouth. I'd been grinding my teeth in my sleep that I'd cracked a molar. $1,800 for a crown on a tooth I'd destroyed with stress. My stomach was constantly in knots. Not a metaphor, I mean I could actually feel it, this tight cramping sensation that never fully went away. I stopped eating breakfast because I'd just throw it up anyway. Lost 15 pounds in 6 weeks. The headaches were constant, the kind that start at the base of your skull and wrap around your temples like a vice. I went to my doctor. She asked if I was under a lot of stress. I burst into tears in her office, just completely fell apart. She prescribed me medication for anxiety, told me I should consider therapy, asked gently if I'd thought about changing
Jobs. Sunday nights became unbearable. That dread would start creeping in around 4 p.m., this weight in my chest, this sense of impending doom. By 8 p.m., I'd be sitting on my couch, staring at my work bag by the door, feeling like I was going to throw up. My boyfriend found me like that one Sunday. I was just sitting there in the dark, crying, hugging my knees. "This isn't normal," he said. "Whatever's happening at your job, this isn't normal. I just need to work harder. I need to figure out what she wants. No, you need to quit." But I couldn't. The money, the resume boost, the validation of working at a prestigious firm. And underneath all that, the fear that maybe Karen was right. Maybe I really was incompetent. Maybe this was just what the real world was like and I couldn't handle it. My boyfriend broke up with me 6 weeks later. "You're not the same person I started dating," he said. We were in my apartment. He was packing his stuff, a toothbrush, some clothes, a book he'd left on my nightstand. "You're anxious all the time. You barely sleep. You won't talk about what's wrong. I can't just watch you destroy yourself like this." I wanted to explain. I wanted to tell him about the emails and the gaslighting and the constant criticism, but the words felt stuck in my throat because saying my boss is mean to me sounded so pathetic, so weak, so childish, like I couldn't handle the real world. "I'm sorry," I said. He left. I had my first real panic attack that night. Not anxiety, not stress, a full-blown, can't breathe, vision going dark at the edges panic attack. I ended up on my bathroom floor, hyperventilating, convinced I was dying. Called my mom at 2 a.m., and she stayed on the phone with me for an hour until I could breathe normally again. "You need to quit that job," she said. "I can't. Baby, it's killing you." "I'm fine." I wasn't fine. Month 5. Sterling & Associates landed this massive client, a national retail chain looking to completely rebrand their digital presence, website redesign, social media strategy, content calendar, the whole package. 6-figure contract, the kind of project that gets mentioned in agency newsletters, the kind that could genuinely make careers. We had a team meeting about it. Everyone was excited. You could feel the energy in the room. Karen stood at the head of the conference table, and she smiled. Actually smiled. "This is a huge opportunity for us," she said. "I'll be overseeing the project directly, but I'm going to need a strong coordinator to manage day-to-day operations." She looked directly at me. "I'd like you to take the lead on this." I felt this weird little flutter in my chest. Hope, actual hope. Maybe this was her way of showing she had faith in me. Maybe I'd been wrong about her intentions. Maybe I really had just been screwing up, and this was my chance to prove myself. Narrator, I was not wrong about her intentions. The setup. The project had a 3-month timeline. Aggressive, but doable. I threw myself into it completely. I mean, completely. I was in the office by 6:30 a.m. Most nights I didn't leave until 9 or 10 p.m. I worked through lunch at my desk. I checked email on weekends. I coordinated between departments, got design and development on the same page, scheduled client calls, managed timelines, created project trackers that updated in real time. I was good at this. God, it felt good to be good at something again. The client loved me. The VP of marketing, this woman named Rebecca, who was smart and direct and kind, she'd specifically request me on calls. "Where's my favorite coordinator?" she'd say when someone else tried to join. Karen checked in daily, sometimes multiple times a day. "How's it going? Are we on track? What did the client say? Have you coordinated with design? Did legal review the contract? What about the timeline?" I'd update her on everything. She'd nod, make notes, occasionally offer suggestions. 2 months in, we were ahead of schedule, under budget. The client was thrilled with the preliminary work. I'd pulled off something genuinely impressive. I was proud. I was so stupid. The ambush. 3 weeks before the final presentation to the client, Karen called an emergency team meeting. The Slack message came through at 4:47 p.m. Team meeting in Conference A. Now. Everyone filed in. Marcus, Sarah, Tom, a couple of people from other teams I didn't know well. Karen was already there, laptop open, her expression grave. "We need to talk about the retail chain project," she said. She pulled it up on the screen. "I've been reviewing the work and I have some serious concerns." My stomach dropped so fast, I actually felt lightheaded. She clicked through slides. "This branding is inconsistent. The messaging doesn't align with what the client initially requested. The timeline is unrealistic, and honestly, I'm not confident we can deliver what we've promised." I stared at the screen. That's not our presentation. The fonts were different, the color scheme was wrong, entire sections had been changed. Content I'd specifically discussed with Rebecca, who'd approved it enthusiastically. "Karen," my voice came out higher than normal, "that's not the current version. That's not what I sent you. This is what's in the shared drive. Are you saying you didn't update the file properly?" "No, I saved it multiple times. I specifically remember." She turned to the team. Her expression was so disappointed, so weary. This is what happens when we don't have proper quality control. We're 3 weeks out from presenting to a 6-figure client, and our lead coordinator can't even manage basic file versions. My face was on fire. My hands were shaking in my lap. Marcus, God bless Marcus, spoke up. "Karen, I saw the updated version yesterday when I was pulling assets for the design work. It looked really solid. Maybe there was a sync error with the drive?" Karen's jaw tightened. Just barely, just for a second. "Well, regardless of what happened, we need to fix this immediately. The client presentation is too important to leave to chance." She turned to Tom. "I'm going to need you to take over coordination. Fresh eyes on the project." The room went silent. I couldn't breathe properly. The air felt too thick. "Karen, I've been managing this project for 2 months, and clearly it needs different management. Tom, can you stay after to go over the timeline and deliverables?" Tom looked deeply uncomfortable. Yeah, sure." "Great. Everyone else, that's all. Let's make sure this client presentation is perfect." I was being removed from my own project, in front of everyone. 3 weeks before completion, after 2 months of 14-hour days and weekend work and sacrificing every other part of my life? The parking garage breakdown. I made it back to my desk, grabbed my bag. "I'm taking a sick day tomorrow," I said to no one in particular. Sarah started to say something, but I was already walking. I got to my car in the parking garage, got in, locked the doors, and I screamed. Just screamed until my throat was raw and my voice cracked.
Then I cried, the ugly kind of crying, where you can't catch your breath and your whole body shakes. I called my mom. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost couldn't hold the phone. She answered on the first ring. "Honey?" And it all came pouring out. Everything. The emails at midnight, the public humiliation, the gaslighting, the project being stolen, the impossible standards, and the feeling like I was losing my fucking mind. All of it came out in this ugly, snotty, hyperventilating confession. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she asked. Her voice was gentle, but there was an edge of steel underneath. "Because I thought it was me. I thought maybe I really am just bad at my job. And stop. Listen to me." She waited until I went quiet. "Baby, this isn't about your project performance. What you're describing is abuse. This is workplace abuse." Hearing her say that out loud, that word, abuse, something clicked into place. This wasn't normal. This wasn't just a tough boss or a challenging work environment. This was abuse. "You need to report her," Mom said. "To who? HR? They don't care. They never care." "Then you need to start looking for another job. You need to get out of there." She was right. But the thought of starting over, of admitting defeat, of proving Karen right by quitting— "I have to go," I said. "I'll call you tomorrow." I sat in my car for another 20 minutes. Then I went back inside. I still had work to do. The documentation. That night, I did something I should have done months ago. I created a folder on my personal laptop, started compiling evidence, screenshots of every email Karen had ever sent me, all of them with timestamps, my notes from every meeting. I'd been typing them up verbatim for weeks, including her exact words, the original project files with version histories showing when I'd actually saved them, copies of client feedback, glowing reviews that Karen had never once acknowledged, my performance reviews compared with actual metrics. Because here's the thing, by every objective measure, I was exceeding expectations. Client satisfaction was up, project timelines were being met, budgets were under control. But according to Karen's reviews, I was below expectations across the board. I created a timeline. Every incident where I'd been publicly criticized, every project that had been reassigned, every late-night email, every instance of gaslighting. It took me until 4:30 a.m., and when I was done, I had a 52-page document that painted a very clear picture. And here's what I found while digging
Through old emails, Karen had done this before. There were references to previous team members, email threads where she'd used almost identical language to criticize them, the same patterns, late-night emails, public humiliation, project reassignments. She had a playbook, and I'd been too close to it, too caught up in my own self-doubt to see. Monday morning, I requested a meeting with HR. I need to file a formal complaint against my manager for workplace harassment, retaliation, and creating a hostile work environment. Linda from HR looked up from her computer. Mid-50s, always wore cardigans, had motivational posters all over her office. "Teamwork makes the dream work" in a font that should have been illegal. I handed her a printed copy of my documentation, all 52 pages. She took it, flipped through it slowly. Her expression stayed carefully neutral. "This is very comprehensive," she said carefully. "I need to file a formal complaint." "Of course. Can you walk me through your main concerns?" I did. I tried so hard to stay calm, factual, unemotional. I cited specific incidents, showed patterns, explained the impact on my health. Linda took notes, asked questions. She seemed genuinely sympathetic. Maybe. "I want to be clear," I said. My voice was shaking a little. "I'm not trying to get Karen fired. I just want this to stop. I want to be able to do my job without being undermined constantly." Linda nodded, put down her pen, folded her hands on top of my documentation. "I understand this has been very difficult for you. We take these allegations very seriously. I'll need to review this documentation thoroughly and discuss it with our team and potentially with senior leadership." Okay. In the meantime, I'd strongly suggest maintaining professionalism in all your interactions with Karen. Continue documenting if anything else occurs, and she paused. I need to advise you not to discuss this complaint with your coworkers. We need to maintain confidentiality during the investigation process. Of course, we'll be in touch within the week with next steps. I left feeling this weird mix of hope and dread. Maybe things would actually change. Maybe someone would finally listen. Maybe. 2 days later, I was at my desk, trying to focus on a minor project, when my Slack lit up. From Karen Mitchell. Come to my office, please. My heart started pounding. I walked to her office. She was sitting at her desk, hands folded, expression unreadable. Close the door. I did. My hands were shaking. I shoved them in my pockets. I understand you had a meeting with HR recently. My blood turned to ice. That's supposed to be confidential. The company has policies about chain of command. When employees have concerns about their direct supervisor, they're supposed to address those concerns with that supervisor first before escalating. I tried multiple times. You told me I was being too sensitive. You told me I needed to handle criticism better. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I see. Well, she leaned back in her chair. I just want you to know that I'm aware you have concerns about my management style, and I'll be paying very close attention to your performance moving forward to make sure we're meeting expectations. That was it. That was all she said, but the message was crystal clear. You just made an enemy. The next 3 weeks were hell on earth. Every single thing I did was scrutinized with a microscope. Every email I sent got a response, "Can you clarify your intent here?" Every project had quality concerns that need to be addressed. I was excluded from meetings I should have been in, then criticized for not knowing information from those meetings. My work was reassigned to other people, then I'd be criticized when they made changes I disagreed with. Karen started scheduling daily one-on-ones, 30 minutes, every single day. Just her telling me everything I was doing wrong. My posture at my desk was unprofessional. My email tone was too casual for client communication. I took too long at lunch. I wasn't being a team player. My questions in meetings were disruptive. "I'm trying to help you improve," she'd say, her voice so reasonable, so patient. "But you seem very resistant to feedback." I stopped sleeping entirely, just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my brain spinning. My hair started falling out. Not dramatically, just more in the shower drain than usual, then enough that I noticed thinning spots. I developed this stress rash on my arms, red, itchy, wouldn't go away no matter what I did. I looked hell, I felt worse. Marcus pulled me aside one day in the break room. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. "I'm fine." "She's retaliating because you went to HR." I didn't answer. Couldn't. "I've seen her do this before." His voice was almost a whisper. "You should start looking for another job. Seriously, it doesn't end well." I can't just quit. I can't let her win. It's not about winning. It's about surviving. 6 weeks after my HR complaint, I got an email. From Linda Chen, Human Resources. Subject, investigation complete. My hands were shaking as I opened it. "Thank you for bringing your concerns to our attention. We have completed a thorough investigation into the matters you raised. After reviewing all available documentation and conducting interviews, we have found insufficient evidence to support allegations of harassment or hostile work environment. However, we have provided additional coaching to your manager regarding communication styles and team management best practices. We consider this matter closed. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Best regards, Linda." I read it 3 times. Insufficient evidence. I had 52 pages of documentation, time-stamped emails, witness accounts, clear patterns. Insufficient evidence. They'd given her coaching. Coaching! I sat at my desk staring at that email, and I felt something inside me just
break. Not in a sad way, in an angry way, a clarifying way. I was done. 2 days later, Karen called a team meeting. The retail chain project was launching that afternoon. Tom had done a great job taking it across the finish line. I had to give him credit for that. He'd worked his ass off. But it was my work, my strategy, my 2 months of 14-hour days. Karen started the meeting with general updates, then she turned to the project debrief. Before we move on, I want to take a moment to recognize exceptional work. She pulled up the campaign on the screen. I want to thank Tom for his outstanding leadership on the retail chain project. The client is absolutely thrilled. They've already discussed expanding the contract, which is a huge win for our team. She smiled at Tom. This is what excellence looks like. Tom looked deeply uncomfortable. He glanced at me, then away. Karen, I should probably mention, a lot of the groundwork was already in place when I took over. The core strategy, the initial client relationships, the timeline structure. Yes, well, execution is what matters in this business, and you executed beautifully. The client specifically praised your attention to detail. She advanced to the next slide. It was the campaign creative, the messaging framework, the content calendar. All of it was mine. Every word, every concept, every strategic decision, not a single mention of my name. And something inside me just snapped. Karen. She turned to me, eyebrows raised. Yes? My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat, but my voice came out steady. I led that project for 2 months. The strategy Tom executed was the strategy I developed. The project had significant issues when you were managing it. Tom had to completely restructure. No, he didn't. I pulled out my laptop, opened the file history, turned the screen around. The core strategy is unchanged. The messaging framework is identical. The timeline structure is 95% the same. Tom did excellent work refining and executing. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but you're pretending I had nothing to do with this project's success, and that's just factually incorrect. The room was silent. Sarah's eyes were huge. Marcus was frozen mid-sip of his coffee. Tom looked like he wanted to disappear. Karen, she smiles was sharp enough to draw blood. I think you're misremembering how things unfolded. This is exactly the kind of attitude issue we've been working on in our one-on-ones. Attitude issue? I could hear my voice rising and I didn't care anymore. I've been documenting everything for 2 months. I have emails, version histories, timestamps. I'm not misremembering anything. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. You took me off this project 3 weeks before completion, right after I filed an HR complaint. That's retaliation. Her face went red. I think we need to continue this conversation in private. No, I'm done with private conversations where you gaslight me and twist my words and make me question my own reality. How dare you speak to me like this in front of my team? How dare you? My voice cracked. How dare you systematically harass me for 6 months, steal my work, undermine me at every turn, then act like I'm the problem for finally standing up for myself? Nobody said anything about you being a problem. Not yet, but we both know that's where this is going. We both know I'll be fired within the week.
She stood up. Everyone else were done for today. Now. The team practically ran out of the room. Karen's office. Door closed. She didn't even pretend to be civil anymore. How dare you undermine me in front of my team? I didn't undermine you. I stated facts. You made me look bad. You made yourself look bad by trying to take credit for my work. Your work? She was actually yelling now. You couldn't manage a simple project without it completely falling apart. I had to rescue it. You sabotaged it. You changed the files in the shared drive. You removed me from the project. Then you blamed me for problems you created. You're being hysterical. And there it was, that word, hysterical. The word they use to dismiss women, to diminish us, to make our valid anger seem irrational. I laughed, actually laughed out loud. You know what? I'm done. Done with what? Done with this, with you, with pretending that any of this is normal or acceptable. You're a bully. You have been systematically harassing me for 6 months, and now you're retaliating because I reported you. I have documentation of everything. Her face was bright red. Be very careful what you say next. Or what? You'll fire me? I leaned forward. Do it. I fucking dare you, because I have 52 pages of documentation showing a clear pattern of harassment and retaliation. I'll walk it straight to an employment lawyer. Get out of my office. Gladly. I walked out. My whole body was shaking, adrenaline flooding my system. But underneath the fear and the anger, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Free. I went back to my desk, sent 3 emails, one to HR, documenting what had just happened, with witnesses, one to myself, forwarding every piece of evidence I'd compiled, every piece, one to my personal email with all my project work, my portfolio, proof of what I'd accomplished. Then I updated my resume, started applying to jobs. I knew what was coming. I was ready. Let her try. Tuesday morning. I got to work at my normal time, made coffee, sat down at my desk. 10:17 a.m., the email came through. From Linda Chen, HR. Subject, meeting request. Can you please come to conference room B at 10:30? Thank you. No context, no agenda. Just a summons. I knew. Of course I knew. I grabbed my phone, made sure it was fully charged, considered recording the meeting but decided against it. Illegal in this state without consent. I just wanted it to be over. Conference room B, 10:30 a.m. The air conditioning is broken. I can feel sweat gathering at the base of my spine. Karen's already there. Linda sits to her right, staring at that spot on the wall. The suit, the corporate lawyer I'd never met. And there, in the center of the table, the box of tissues. Pale blue, generic brand. They always put them there when they're about to ruin your life. Please, sit down, Linda said. I sat. My hands went into my lap. I squeezed them together to keep them from shaking. The paper cut on my thumb stung. Linda folded her hands on top of a folder. We've asked you here today to discuss some ongoing performance concerns and behavioral issues. Performance concerns, right. As you know, over the past several months, we've had numerous conversations about your ability to meet the expectations of your role. We've provided feedback, coaching, and support. However, we haven't seen the improvement we need. I said nothing, just waited. Additionally, your behavior in yesterday's team meeting and your subsequent conversation with your manager demonstrated a pattern of insubordination and unprofessionalism that we cannot overlook. Insubordination, for standing up for myself, for refusing to let my work be stolen, for telling the truth. After careful consideration and consultation with senior leadership, we've made the difficult decision to terminate your employment effective immediately. There it was. Linda slid the paper across the table. That soft whisper of paper on fake wood. Termination letter. Very official, very legal, very final. You'll be paid through the end of this week. Your health benefits will continue through the end of the month. We'll need your badge, your laptop, and any other company property before you leave the building today. I looked at Karen. She was still staring at that spot on the wall. Her jaw was tight. She wouldn't even look at me. So that's it? My voice came out steadier than I expected. 6 months of documented harassment, retaliation for filing an HR complaint, and your solution is to fire me? The suit spoke for the first time. We don't agree with your characterization of these events. This decision is solely based on performance issues and conduct violations. You know that's bullshit. Linda flinched. I understand you're upset. Upset? I laughed. It sounded slightly unhinged even to my own ears. I'm being fired for refusing to be bullied. You investigated nothing. You protected her, I gestured at Karen, and you're throwing me away like I'm the problem? That's what's actually happening here. Silence. Do you have any questions about your final paycheck or benefits continuation? I stood up.
The chair scraped loudly against the floor. "No. We'll need someone to escort you to your desk. I know where my desk is. Company policy requires—" "Fine. Get someone. I'll wait." The walk of shame. They made Marcus do it. Of course they did. He appeared in the doorway looking miserable. "Hey. Hey." We walked to my desk in silence. The whole office knew. You could feel it. That weird quiet when something terrible is happening and everyone's pretending not to notice. I grabbed a box someone had left by my desk, started packing. Coffee mug with a stupid pun on it, the plant I'd somehow kept alive for 6 months without the lack of sunlight, photos of my family, a notebook. That was it. That was my entire existence at this company, fit in a cardboard box. Sarah came over. She was crying, actually crying. "This isn't right. This is so fucked up." "I know. Are you going to sue them?" "I don't know. Maybe." Tom appeared, hands shoved in his pockets. "For what it's worth, I told HR the truth about the project, about your work. They didn't care. Thanks for trying." Marcus was just standing there, looking helpless. "I'm sorry. I should have said something sooner when she was treating you like that. You'd just gotten fired too." Still, I picked up the box. It was lighter than it should have been. 6 months of my life, fit in a cardboard box. Karen never came out of her office, didn't even watch me leave. Coward. The car. Marcus walked me to my car in the parking garage. I put the box in my trunk, stood there for a second. Then I started laughing. Marcus looked concerned. Are you okay?" "I'm great." I wiped my eyes. I was laughing and crying at the same time. I just realized I never have to see her again. I never have to check my email at 2 a.m. I never have to walk on eggshells or question my own sanity or let someone make me feel like I'm worthless. I took a breath. It felt like the first real breath I'd taken in months. I'm free. I got in my car and drove away. I didn't look back. Not once. That was 3 months ago. Here's what happened next. I filed a complaint with the State Labor Board for wrongful termination and retaliation. It's still pending. These things take time. Months, sometimes years. I consulted with an employment lawyer. She looked at my documentation and said, verbatim, "You have one of the strongest retaliation cases I've seen in years." But litigation is expensive, time-consuming, emotionally draining. I'm still deciding if it's worth it. 2 weeks after I was fired, I landed a new job. Better company, actual work-life balance, 25% higher salary. My new boss is incredible. Her name is Jennifer. She gives clear feedback, she communicates expectations, she actually listens when I talk. She treats me like a human being. The first time she complimented my work, genuinely complimented it, not as a setup for criticism, I almost cried. I wake up on Monday mornings and I don't feel sick. I can eat breakfast without my stomach cramping. I haven't had a panic attack in 2 months. That alone is worth everything. I heard through Marcus that Karen's team has completely fallen apart. 2 more people quit within a month of me leaving. One of them filed her own HR complaint, apparently much more detailed than mine, with even more documentation. There's an internal investigation happening now, real one this time, with an outside firm. Too late, too little for me. But maybe it'll help someone else. Maybe it'll stop her from doing this to the next person. So here's what I want you to take away from this. No job is worth your mental health. Period. Full stop. No paycheck is worth panic attacks and stress rashes and grinding your teeth until they crack. No prestigious company is worth letting someone systematically destroy your confidence and self-worth. Document everything. Every email. Every conversation, every incident, dates, times, exact quotes, screenshots, save everything in multiple places. Because when they come for you, and if you have a bully boss, they will eventually come for you, you'll need proof.
HR is not your friend. I know that's harsh. I know there are good HR professionals out there, but understand, HR exists to protect the company. not you. Sometimes protecting the company means protecting bad managers because it's easier than dealing with the liability of firing them. Standing up for yourself might cost you your job. It cost me mine. But you know what staying quiet costs? It costs you yourself. And that's a price I wasn't willing to pay anymore. You have options, even when it feels like you don't. Update your resume, network, talk to a lawyer, file complaints with the EEOC or your state labor board. Build your exit strategy. You don't have to stay somewhere that's destroying you. This is the most important thing. Workplace bullies are skilled at making you think you're the problem, that you're too sensitive, too incompetent, too difficult, but you're not. You're just a convenient target for someone who's broken inside. I'm not gonna lie and tell you that getting fired was some blessing in disguise. It sucked. It was terrifying and humiliating and financially stressful. I had to move back in with my parents for a month while I got back on my feet. I had nightmares about Karen for weeks. I still have this Pavlovian response when my phone buzzes late at night. My heart rate spikes before I even look at it. But you know what? I got my life back. I can breathe again. I look in the mirror and I recognize the person looking back at me. That's worth everything. And Karen, if you're somehow watching this, which I doubt because you're probably too busy tormenting your next victim, I want you to know something. I don't hate you. I pity you because destroying people isn't power. It's not success. It's not leadership. It's just sad. You're just sad. I hope you get the help you need. I genuinely do. But more than that, I hope you stop. I hope that investigation leads to real consequences. I hope you never get the chance to do this to someone else. If you're going through something similar right now, if you're reading this and relating to every word, I see you. You're not alone. You're not crazy, you're not weak, and you deserve so much better. Drop a comment if you've dealt with a toxic workplace. Share your story. Let's support each other, because that's how we survive this, together. You know what the weirdest part is? I'm grateful. Not for Karen, not for what she did, but for finally learning that I'm worth more than any job could ever be, that my peace is more valuable than any paycheck, that standing up for myself, even when it costs me everything, is better than slowly disappearing while staying quiet. I got fired for refusing to be bullied, and I'd do it again, every single time. Take care of yourselves out there. You're worth it.